for us to be here, and I will not apologize. I will not disrespect this tradition, and I will not let nobody come in and disrespect this tradition. And those who are still present among us, you will not be allowed to disrespect this tradition, because too much has been done for us to be here. So we just want to thank those. That's one of the first things I want to do. Thank those, my mother and many others, and I can go on. All the great soldiers, for I am that I am God. We bless your name, and you will live on and never die. The next thing I want to talk about is our identity. The word Coptic, we know and should understand, is not a word that Prophet Cicero created. It's not a tradition he established. He, as a seeker and a teacher, searched out and searched long and hard. And from our understanding, that he looked towards the Coptic, which is a Greek word for Egyptos, which also means Egypt and the many other names that Egypt have. He connected us to this great tradition through the method and the principles that he handed down to us. So when we start to grow from Prophet Cicero era to King Peter's era, and then we are now coming forth, we were all out here trying to define who we was. I must take credit, and I will, because even when I was teaching, based again on what my teacher used to teach, I used to teach my tribe, and I have witnesses that are still with me today, that I would teach, we were after the order of Melchizedek. And when we began to form with some other Coptic churches, which is called the Adam, I petitioned that we should be called Coptic Adam. Now, what does it mean to be Coptic Adam? I know this name has been tossed around. People have tried to rebel against it. People ask, what does it mean? And why should we be called this? And I realized you was not rebelling against the priest. You was rebelling against the prophet. You went against him. And many have went against the prophet. I often say, you're not going to win, beloved. You're not going to win. And so I told the church, the reason we say Coptic after order of Melchizedek, because Jesus himself comes after the order of Melchizedek. Abraham himself met him. David said, I will not repent that thou art a priest forever. When you understand the sacred order of the Melchizedek priesthood, you would have understood what it meant to be after his order. Well, he was called Melchizedek. And this way we practice is the order in which we practice. And so that was to give us identity, because there are Coptics in the East who we are not affiliated with. There's Coptics here in America, in different parts of California. You got all types of Coptics. We're not the only one who carried the banner, the Coptics. And even when I was thinking of a name of a temple, you know, it was because of my mother came up with the term Coptic nation, and I put temple on. And so I was blessed to even start initiating the ideal. Prior to that, we was not saying nation. Just a fact. This is a historical fact. It was mentioned. We was considered an organization. It was considered a temple. But you didn't hear the concept nation. And I'm gonna deal with that word. What does that mean when I say Coptic nation? So now everybody said we're a nation, nation, nation this, nation that. I'm over the nation, over the nation. But if you wasn't to call yourself a nation prior to that, we were just a church. We were just a church, and now we expanded to the various churches. So now we've grown broader. Now the word nation is appropriate because we have more people in different temples. So God had gave me that idea to call, well, not the idea, my mother was the one. And we made the church, named the church Coptic Nation. And so we're Coptic Adam. That's who we are. And if you don't know, then you need to sit down, take time, and ask someone to explain it to you properly. What does it mean? It's not just a figurative of speech. It's not just a word to be tossed around because it sounds cute or it sounds like so you could be in the in crowd to make people think you know what's really going on. You say it. If you don't know, then you need to reach out to the priest and many others who can probably help you. And I would be glad to walk you through every degree of the order of Melchizedek. It's sad to be demonstrating something and don't even know what you're demonstrating. And we have many of us who are doing that today. The Coptic religion is a great tradition. And I say tradition because that's part of it. But the thing that is so sad is that you have teachers who don't know how to teach it. You have people who don't even understand the basics of our tradition. It is not just the garments. It is not just the march. It is not just quoting certain scriptures. You have to understand who we are and what our capabilities are as Coptics. And so this is what I want to address, because before, as Prophet Cicero said, he said, before you mess it up, he said, I'll go back to glory. So if he was concerned about it being messed up then, what was going on that would cause him to say, before you mess it up, I'll go? And then Prophet Peter didn't say he would go because you would mess it up. You know, prophets say, I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. But he told you right and wrong, and you had to choose to do right or wrong. Now this generation, or this era we're in, people don't even know the difference between the right and the wrong. I'm going to use something that Queen Jury said, the new wrong is the new right. And so many believe, because they are now leaders, teachers, that they have a right to do whatever they want, when they want to do it, and that is not necessarily so. One of the biggest lies is often said, and it's true in one aspect, but it's a catchism and it's a trick statement, because you're not really understanding what you're saying. They say, didn't no true writer see the light? That may be true, but they all saw God. God is not the author of confusion. God is not going to tell you to do one thing and tell me to do another. In other words, God tell me it's okay for me to steal everything that I want. You steal it. I'm going to bless your hands to be a thief, and then tell someone else that work, and I'm going to bless the works of your hand. That's not the God we serve. And I'm not saying it's that extreme, but I'm just giving you a concept of how people say God told them. And then there's another thing we say, each leader has to define his own vision. That's true to some degree. Prophet Peter said it this way. He said, I had to build on Melchizedek's foundation first, before I can build on ours. Another lie is saying, can't nobody build on another man's foundation. The whole world is built upon men's foundation. You go, if you want to go into the auto business and build a car, you're going to look at the first pattern, pattern or plans on how the first car was constructed. Everything from a home, someone already went before you. So don't now say, because you're sitting supposedly in a seat of authority, that you can't build off another man's foundation. Well, then whose foundation you building off of? This foundation has been proven, tried, and know that it is what it says that it is. And the reason you say you can't build off another foundation is because you probably don't know the foundation. And you probably don't understand it. And you probably don't agree with it. Therefore, you work against it, and you're working against yourself. That's what you're doing. You're working against yourself. And everybody who you're teaching that is working against themselves, and it won't do what it said it's designed to do. And I'll get to that in a minute. Anybody can be a copy, but everybody can't be a Coptic. There's a lot of copies out here, but there's not a lot of Coptics out here. And so tonight, it's time to get our house in order. It's time for us to stand in the mind and represent this great tradition. Either you want to be a part of it, or you need to step away. There are thousands of traditions that you can be a part of. But to allow the unrighteousness to come in and corrupt those who are trying their best to take in the teaching, to live the life, and to walk in the Coptic way, then you need to move around or find another location, because no longer is it accepted. The falsehood has to come down. The lies have to come down. The misunderstanding has to come down. All the false teaching that's going out has to come down. There were some things that prophet gave us directions of not to do. Now, you answer this question for me. Would I go against a man who's proven that the God that we say we serve hears and answers his prayers? My teacher healed more people than probably the whole nation put together by herself. And you're going to tell me they said that the prophet told them there were certain things for them to continue to do what they need to do, that I'm going to go against them who have a proven track record? For somebody to come along experimenting, talking about how you feel and what you think, or what you don't understand, or what you don't agree with, and you ain't proved nothing other than showing up with a new fancy garment, which anybody can get. You understand? The third one is about what I just spoke on. The Coptic faith is a righteous teaching. Always have been. Always will be. I keep saying to my people, Coptic faith is not a gutter religion. We are second to nobody. We don't bow to nobody. There's three things our temple's prophecy is built upon. You can read in his booklet. The 10th chapter of Matthew. God gave us power against all unclean spirits to heal, teach, call together all his disciples. The 3rd chapter of Exodus, where you find I am that I am God. The 3rd chapter of Daniel, we will not bow. So, the Coptic that